Game over. Down! Down! Down!
Welcome back to SledgeHammer Horror, guys. I am Ken Sledge, and let's talk horror. Today, I am joined by fellow YouTuber and Twitch streamer Patrick Burow. Patrick, how you doing today, man?
Not too bad. Thank you so much for having me on. It's a real pleasure to be here talking horror movies with you. And the moment that you sent me the message, asked me to come on, I was immediately like, yes, yes, yes. Got to do this. So thank you so much for having me on, man. I really, really appreciate it and can't wait to talk movies with you.
Oh, man, I'm super excited. Like I said, I sent the message hopeful and had fingers crossed it actually worked out. For those of you that don't know Patrick, he reviews movies on his YouTube channel. And on Twitch, he streams video games and completion runs. I have all his links down here in the description. So make sure you're following him on social media. Check out his Twitch. Subscribe to him on YouTube. I love his movie reviews. That's one of the reasons I was really hoping to get him on here. So what do you have coming up in the future? Do you have any movies reviews that are coming up that people might want to check out? Or is there something that you're really working hard on at the moment?
Well, in regards to the entire year 2021, due to the whole thing in regards to films still being a little slow coming out due to the whole world situation at the moment, I'm going to be reviewing a random franchise of movies per month. This month being February, I'm re-reviewing all of the Twilight movies to my own dismay. But every single month, I'll be reviewing a whole new different series of movies, whether they're horror, romance, you name it. And not only that, we've obviously got the new releases, we've got new movies coming to Netflix, so just some movies coming out, some older stuff, as well as on Twitch and everything. I try to play as many video games as possible. A lot of the time, a lot of them are completion runs and everything, whether they're on PlayStation, PC, or whatever. At the moment, I've been getting my platinums for a bunch of Lego games, which has been a ton of fun. Make sure you guys check me out over there. We're going to be doing a lot of that sort of stuff. Little Nightmares 2, got to be streaming that when it comes out tonight. And besides that, there's something I can't talk about too much, but I am in the middle of pre-production for a short horror film. So that's going to be going into production later this year and everything. Can't talk about it much at the moment, but that's coming along as well.
Totally understand. And congratulations on that. And when you have details that you can leak out to us, let me know. I'd be happy to promote anything I can for you on the channel. Any way I can get it out there, I'd be happy to help you out, man. I'm very excited to hear where this is going.
Thank you so much, man. It's more or less an inspiration of multiple horror movies, but bringing it back to the old school 70s, 80s style of the genre, mixing two movies together in regards to concept, but changing it with a little twist, being Hush and Don't Breathe, just to give you an idea of what it's going to be like, a mix of the two.
Very nice. I love Hush. Obviously, Mike Flanagan, big fan.
Yeah,
and then Don't Breathe.
One of his
Fede
first
Alvarez was producing that. You know,
yeah.
Two very great films, man. I'm a big fan of both.
And we got Don't Breathe 2, supposed to be coming out later this year as well.
Yes, very excited for that. I'm anxious to see where they take that.
Well, I have a feeling it might lead into the events of the first movie, following our female protagonist at the end of the first movie and following her, like tormenting her to the point that it also follows her into her later life, maybe. That's my presumption, because I don't think there's any way they could do it otherwise.
Right. Yeah, it's just, I was a big fan of the first one, so I'm very anxious to see where this one is. It's one of those things where when I'm a really big fan of a first film, especially one like Don't Breathe, that would have been a perfect standalone, much like Jaws or The Ring. You know, those are films that I don't think ever needed a sequel. So I always do get that anxious feeling when a great movie like that has a sequel coming. But we'll see what happens. Scream could have been a great standalone film, and look where that went. It's a great franchise.
We had two great sequels. That was one of them being a reboot, and one that we just sort of forget about, being Scream 3.
Yep. It's so true. I've always said, because Scream is my favorite horror movie franchise. And if your worst one is Scream 3, you're definitely doing something right. Because even though it's the worst in the series, it's still a good movie. I can still watch it. It's not unwatchable.
I don't think it's unwatchable, but I haven't watched, because I did not see any of the Scream movies until October last year, by the way. That was my first ever, introduction to the Scream franchise. Never watched them, never knew Matthew Lillard was in them, no nothing. That was fun seeing Matthew Lillard go from me growing up seeing him as Shaggy Rogers to seeing him as this insane fucking serial killer. And I'm like, okay, no wonder he got Shaggy Rogers, because there is so much Shaggy in Stuart. Yeah. Was his name Stuart? Yes.
Yeah, Stu.
Stu, that's it. But no, my first introduction to Scream was October last year, when I did my series of horror movie reviews throughout that month. And I love the first movie. I actually think I love the second movie even more. And the third movie, just kind of dropped off for me. I found it incredibly boring. I did not believe the twist. I thought that having what's his name, Lance Henriksen in it was really cool, as I'm a massive fan of Alien. And I have a strange appreciation for Alien 3. The assembly cut, the theatrical's not great in my opinion. The assembly cut's really, really awesome. But then Scream 4, I watched that. I'm like, holy crap, this is better again. And now we've got Scream 5 coming out. And I'm like, okay, I'm all for it. I'm all for it, especially having Dennis Quaid's son, Jack Quaid, being in it as well. Jack. From The Boys and Hunger Games.
2, yeah, if Scream 2 had a different third act, I think that one would have been better than 1 to me. But everything from where Sydney climbs over him in the car and doesn't unmask him or do anything, and then her friend gets killed,
that's
from there on, I'm not a huge fan. Like the falling rocks when they're on the stage, like, I don't know. If it had a different third act, I think it would have been a lot, stronger of a film, and it would have been my favorite of the franchise. But to me, I still got to go 1, man. That's still, I think that'll always be my favorite in that franchise.
That entire third act in the first movie was just incredible. Like the twist, the turn, it felt like a Shyamalan movie. I'm all for it. Yep. I'm all for it. And, I love Scream now that I've watched it. And, I honestly can't say anything really bad about it besides that third movie, which I think I gave like a D+ when I reviewed it or something. But I guess when I'm watching those movies in like a marathon or something, I can watch it. But otherwise, I wouldn't go out of my way to watch it. More or less, it'd be more or less in a marathon format.
Sure. Well, see, Scream to me, I went when I was 14. My cousin did tattoos, and I went to get a ghost face tattoo, and he talked me out of it, and actually talked me into getting the actual Scream painting from Edward Munch.
Oh, so, wow.
This is totally, if Scream never came around, I would not have this tattoo. So
that's really cool.
Yeah. So that's how much of an impact Scream had on me. But my friend, we talked about what you're doing in the future a little bit. We talked about right now, but I want to take it back to the past, my friend. And I want to talk about where horror started for you. The first horror movie you watched, and your first horror movie was?
The original Saw movie, directed by James Wan, written by Lee Winnell.
What a great film to start with, man. It's like, to this day, still one of my favorite horror films, man. I got the box set here, something I'm a very big fan of.
I own all the unrated cuts of each movie as well. Like I have every DVD. I think I actually have like a VHS of the original movie as well, because that was when VHSs were leaving and just going DVD. But I managed to get my hands on a VHS of the original Saw movie. I bought all the DVDs, I bought all the Blu-rays, and then I suck out all the unrated cuts of Saw 1, Saw 2, Saw 3, all the way through Jigsaw. And I also own 3 separate copies for Saw 3D, the final chapter. Saw the final chapter, Saw the final chapter unrated edition, and then the Saw 3D unrated cut.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where I think that if Saw would have just been Saw 1, 2, and 3, I think it would have been the greatest horror movie trilogy of all time, if not the greatest trilogy of all time. So do you remember how old you were the first time you had seen Saw?
I was around about 6 years old. I started off with it at a really, really young age with Saw.
Yeah, that's great, man, because to me, I think that the younger you get started in horror, the more grounded you are as a person. I know that sounds weird, but when you can definitely separate what's fantasy and what's reality at a young age, I think it helps you to become more of a grounded human being in the long run. Do you remember who you were with the first time you had seen it?
I was by myself. It was around about 2 o'clock in the morning. It was one of those mornings where they were showing like really violent. This was back when they used to show all the like really violent movies at like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. My mum, I think, was out for like a work conference and she wasn't coming home because she had to stay away for the weekend. And I was at my grandmother's house. My grandmother just conked out. She was just asleep, was not going to wake up. So I went outside and I turned on the TV because I personally couldn't sleep. And I turned on the TV, and the moment I turned on the TV, it was like Channel 9 or something, and it came up with Saw, and it was right as the interrogation sequence was happening with Dr. Gordon and Danny Glover's character before it went into the reverse bear trap sequence. It was right before then when he was being interrogated, and I had the pen light shown at him and everything, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? And then I just continued watching and couldn't take my eyes off it.
Yeah. And it's one of those movies that I think people forget how impactful this movie was when it came out. I'm so lucky and I'm so blessed. I was able to see this in cinema. And the only
jealous.
other time I can remember a crowd being so is when my wife and I seen Hereditary, and the same thing, you know, that like it's just one of those things that it's one of those I'll never forget seeing Saw in cinema just because of that scene and how impactful the ending was. But which affected you the most from Saw?
The reverse bear trap sequence. It's either that one or the scene where Detective sang and his demise. Like, that was one I just didn't see bloody coming at a young age, and it traumatized me. But the reverse bear trap sequence, I think it's the way how that scene is sporadically edited to build that tension and that uncomfortable feeling of just, what is it? Basically what is it, Jigsaw's moral is in regards to unlocking the human's nature of the survival instinct. And the way that Lee Winnell and James Wan wrote and directed that sequence, and then how it was edited in post, helped it feel so desperate, and how we were literally holding our breath, and it just felt so exciting but also cloying at the same time. And it was traumatizing at a young age because there's this loud, like, metal music with it's just this big dolly spin around camera that is sped up, and it's just uncomfortable. What's her name? The actress who played Amanda Young.
I had to ask.
I don't remember. I'm at a blank. I literally remembered her name because she was also in The Grudge 3, which I reviewed last year. But she's a brilliant actress, and throughout the Saw Say Name trilogy, she is one of the best parts as Amanda Young. And she does a great job in the first Saw movie, especially like that traumatized look on her face with the marks around her mouth in the interrogation room. And then all of a sudden, it's like a big shocking moment for all of us when we watch it for the first time, of that line when she's like, "He helped me." And I'm like, what? How? But it's that part's amazing because you're just sitting there like, how? So you want to see more of his victims and see if they help them. Shawnee Smith.
Yeah.
There we go.
It was driving me nuts, man.
No, there we go. She's a great actress. Too bad she's been in more B movies than anything, but she is terrific. I'd love to see her in another Saw movie, even if it is one of those unnecessary flashbacks. I would like to see her return to the franchise.
Oh, me too. And one thing I love about her, you know, he helped me. We always forget that she killed a dude there. You know, and she took the scalpel and killed that guy so she could save her own life. Like, that's how much she wanted to live.
She noticed that he was still alive. She saw his eyes open, and it was just like all of a sudden she just didn't care. It was that survival instinct that Jigsaw talks about. Because it's like the matter of, if you listen to the tape closely, there's like little riddles in there that the cellmate didn't appreciate his life and would never appreciate his life either. And it's just like, so she had that opportunity to sacrifice herself for someone who doesn't appreciate life and never will, to live and her die, or she does the undoing and then kills him with that survival instinct unlocked that he knew would be unlocked because she still has that motive. And therefore she took that chance, and it was then unlocked even after she noticed he was still alive. It's incredible how that sequence was built up. And it's actually amazing knowing that this film was picked up by that short film made called Saw Point 5, which that entire reverse bear trap sequence was purely that short film, which is also really damn good, by the way. It's basically a shot for shot, line for line remake of that short film. And it's awesome noticing those details.
Yeah. And it's funny because we talk about which scene affected us. And as a kid, you know, I'm with you. The reverse bear trap, obviously the ending. But now that I'm an adult, and I have 3 kids, I have a wife, and the scene where Dr. Gordon sees the picture and he's like, "Where did you get this?" You know, and you see him breaking. And Adam's like, "I couldn't tell you." And he's just like, that's when he knows he's going to do whatever he can to get out of this situation. That's a scene that I watch now, and it really hits, man. It's like, because I get it. You know, if I got to cut my foot off to make sure my family's okay, I'm going to do it. So I love that scene. Patrick, when you think of Saw, what is the first thing that pops into your head?
Hello Zep, the theme by Charlie Clouser, that like every time someone mentions Saw, first thing that pops into my head is that incredible soundtrack and theme called Hello Zep, which we heard for the first time when the big reveal happened at the end of Saw, when Adam is playing that tape. And I'm just like, what the fuck? Like that entire thing, all the pieces coming together. I had a mate of mine, we watched Saw for the first time, and he didn't get it at the end, even when the twist was revealed. But he's like, that music, that was awesome. And then I'm like, all right, we watched it again immediately after, and during the movie, I'm like pointing out all these little things to him and putting the pieces together for him. When the ending happened, he's all of a sudden like, not only does it now make sense to me, this is absolutely fucking incredible. Even second time around, I didn't see it coming with all the pieces coming together. But that theme was the thing that he pinpointed. That theme is something that pinpoints it to you more. It makes it its own moment and one of the most impactful, surprising, and unforeseen moments in horror movie history.
Oh man, and a score, you look at Saw, you look at Jaws, you look at Halloween, how a score can pull a movie together. There are people that have never seen Jaws or never seen Halloween, but they know the Halloween piano lick. They know the Jaws is, that cello. Dun-dun, dun-dun. Like people know that because that's how the score can almost live above a film sometimes. And I think that's absolutely amazing. And I feel the same with Hello Zepp. I love Hello Zepp. I think it's one of the best songs of any horror movie, the most recognizable besides maybe the Halloween and Jaws themes. So we talked about which scene affected you the most, my friend.
Exorcist and everything as well with their themes and everything.
Yeah.
And Psycho.
The bells.
Shit.
Oh.
And then it goes into that dun 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 dun. I fucking love that. So awesome.
Huge Psycho fan, man. It's like I completely appreciate what you're saying.
I love Psycho so much. It's not my favorite Hitchcock movie, but it's close. It's a close second to The Birds.
The Birds is fantastic too. I love all the practical effects in The Birds. How they actually use birds to do that film is so cool.
Yeah.
So I know which scene affected you the most from Saw now, and I know what scene pops in your head. But what's your favorite scene from Saw?
Oh, that's a really tough question because there are so many moments that stick out. I think it would have to be the moment that Danny Glover's character, don't remember his name right now, it's on the tip of my tongue, but when him and Detective Sang walk into that warehouse, they're investigating Jigsaw. By the way, fun fact, if you look closely, the actor who played Detective Sang was not available for shoots that day, and it's actually Lee Winnell walking in with the shotgun.
Oh,
that's
really?
why they had the face cut out. They had the camera lowered enough so it's just the shotgun. But there's a brief moment where it pans up too high, and it's actually Lee Winnell in place of the actor for Detective Sang. Fun detail because it's such a low budget film that it's so effective. Though that's the thing. I don't think it would have been nearly as iconic, nearly as effective if it wasn't for that low budget. But it's that moment when they're going in, they run into John Kramer for the first time, the Jigsaw killer, and what is it? You see him all of a sudden, even Jigsaw is going for that survival instinct sort of thing. He could be taken in. He could die right here. So he activates an incomplete trap. What is it? And now he's just like, you're going to do what you have to survive. This man here, there is a key in that box. Find the right key and unlock it before he meets his death. Live or die. His life is in your hands. And I'm just like, holy shit, man. And like that's easily one of my favorite scenes. It's not my favorite scene in the entire film because not only is it like Detective Sang and Danny Glover dumping that survival instinct, not for them, but someone else. But then Danny Glover is having the survival instinct as well when he gets his throat slit. By the way, awesome Assassin's Creed Hidden Blade right there.
Yes.
Cool. That is just fucking awesome. It like proves how unpredictable Jigsaw is, though. He is one of the most unpredictable. Yes, you may have Bruce the Shark, who is a relentless killing machine. You may have Michael Myers, who is the embodiment of evil, who can't die. I shot him 6 times. He's not human.
6 times. 6 times.
Such an awesome moment. So awesome. Best line in Halloween 2 right there. But like you have your Michael Myers and you have your, Leatherface, you have your Freddy Krueger, but none of them as unpredictable as Jigsaw, because Jigsaw, you don't know if you as a random person, civilian or detective are going to end up in a trap to fight for your own life. You're not knowing what you're going to have to sacrifice, but also if you catch him, what he's going to have in store. Saw 2 had that in the shack. not the shack, sorry, the warehouse and everything, when they're walking up the stairs, a guy gets his fucking leg broken by a booby trap, and then all of a sudden these 3 other people, and they get electrocuted to death. And then you have Detective Riggs later on throwing a wooden plank at a fence to make sure it's not electrified.
Right.
Like, that's how unpredictable Jigsaw is, and that's why everyone is so scared of him. There was no one nearly as terrifying and unpredictable as Jigsaw, and that moment in the shed, the warehouse with the 2 detectives, that guy in the the drill trap, and then Jigsaw, John Kramer. There is no moment that personifies that as much as that, and proves how unpredictable he is, because all of a sudden Detective Sang is chasing Jigsaw while his partner is literally fucking dying, literally clawing for life with a throat slit, and he's going after him with a shotgun. By the way, dumb move, Detective Sang. You never shoot someone with a shotgun. From that fucking range, whether it's a slug round or a burst shot.
Bird shot.
But all of a sudden, the unpredictability. Every time I watch this movie, I don't see it fucking coming. How he trips a wire, and it traumatized me when I first saw it as a kid. I actually looked away like, holy fuck, when these 4 shotguns just blow his head off, and I'm like, what the fuck? Again, adding to that unpredictability of Jigsaw. It's incredible how they wrote his character. But the thing in the first 3 movies is that his character is his unpredictability, and that's what makes him so compelling.
Yep. And even in the 3rd one, like you said, how he's actually testing Amanda the whole time. There was brilliant writing when it comes to John Kramer all the way through. So we talked about your first horror movie, my friend, but now I want to go scream on you here. What's your favorite scary movie? What is your favorite horror movie?
Halloween. Actually, you know what? Now that you've done that,
78.
Yep. Just give me a second, though.
Okay.
No, where did it go? Where did my screen mask go? Oh, this is frustrating. Wait, I think I found it. No, it's a bust. Damn it. I lost it.
Oh, it's all good, man.
When you pulled out the fucking Ghostface mask, I'm like, holy shit, I went as Ghostface for fucking Halloween last year after I watched the Halloween movies for the first time. And I have a Ghostface mask somewhere, but it's not where I thought it was. I'm upset.
But so Halloween 1978 is such a good choice for your favorite horror movie. I think it's one of those things where, for me personally, my first horror movie was House from '86, and it still to this day holds a really soft spot for me. But I still think my favorite now is The Cabin in the Woods. I think that's such a fantastic horror movie. But now I want to, before I let you go, I want to go back to Saw. We always end these with the same question. We go with a skull count. Now, 0 skulls being the worst, 5 being the best. We're not critiquing the movie. We're not going to be critics. We're not talking about production or anything like that. We're talking strictly on how this movie affected you and what this movie means to you. What would you rank Saw on a scale of 0 to 5 skulls?
5, without a doubt. The movie had such an impact on my life. It introduced me to the genre. It is still effective to this day. Like, even though we're not critiquing and everything, there is no movie that impacts me or surprises me upon every rewatch as Saw. Every single time I find new little details within, no matter how many times I've watched the movie, every time that ending surprises me and I don't see it coming and it sends chills down my spine. It is the whole reason as to why I want to be a horror filmmaker myself. It is the whole reason as to why I refuse to do big budget stuff and just want to work with low budgets, because it showed me what you can do and how effective you truly can be with such a low budget. It has impacted my life and inspired me in more ways than any other movie of its kind or any kind whatsoever, and introduced me to my favorite genre of film ever. Like, my favorite genre is horror, and that's all thank you to Saw. Like, at such a young age, and I've been obsessed with horror ever since. My family hated me for it. My teachers at school hated me for it. My friends hated me for it because I'm constantly talking about all these incredibly violent movies I shouldn't be watching as like an under 10-year-old. and everyone's like, why the fuck are you watching these movies? And I'm just like, I just love horror.
Yeah, I love the adrenaline you get from it. And, talking about the end of Saw, when you start to see him move and get up and you see Adam just frozen and he's like the keys in that bathtub, and then he starts walking over and he's just game over and that's to me one of the best endings in horror movie history, how he slams that door and you just hear Adam screaming the most brokenhearted, fearful scream as you're fading it to black and getting ready to roll the credits.
Easily Lee Winnell's best acting moment in the entire movie.
Oh, yeah.
Like, yes, Saw has its stilted dialogue. It has its stilted acting here and there. Like the moment where Dr. Gordon's on the one-way phone and everything, and he's like, listen, here's that, you son of a bitch! And then all of a sudden his wife is on the phone and he's like, honey? And I'm just like, okay, that's some really awkward acting right there. And Adam, throughout the entire movie, Lee Winnell has become a better actor since, but he's an incredible actor now. We've seen that in the Insidious movies and everything. But yes, it has its flaws. It has its production stuff. It has its small moments and everything. But the reason why it's one of my favorite horror movies, one of my top 3 ever, is because of the impact. You don't necessarily have to have high production. You don't necessarily have to have a big budget. You don't necessarily have to have the best acting. This is a thing I always say. Even if you don't have great actors, even if you don't have a big budget, it's the way you utilize those things with the entire film as a whole to make it as effective as possible, to make it memorable. Honestly, I can say The Exorcist does not have great acting, but it's the incredible score, the direction, and how everything comes together and how great everything is alongside of that makes that movie what it is and how terrifying it is. You can say the exact same fucking thing about Halloween. Halloween has some of the most atrocious acting in a movie ever. Mm-hmm. But everything else surrounding it is so bloody good and effective and atmospheric and tense, unpredictable, as Saw is on its own merits as well. You don't need it to be just this big fucking movie. It doesn't need to be flawless to be impactful and inspiring as Saw is for me.
I agree with you. Look at the Blair Witch. Look at the impact that had.
Oh, yeah. The Blair Witch Project. Fucking fantastic film. I saw it for the first time back in 2019, and I immediately suck at Blu-ray. I had to. I bloody loved the Blair Witch Project. And you know what? Me watching Blair Witch Project so late, I actually have an appreciation for the 2016 movie. I actually think that movie's fine. I don't hate that movie whatsoever.
Right. See, I haven't seen it. I still need to get around to watching that. That's one that everybody tells me. I have friends that tell me I need to watch it, friends that tell me I don't need to watch it. But since you got the Blu-ray, did you watch the alternate endings to the Blair Witch?
As in Blair Witch or Blair Witch Project?
Blair Witch Project, the original.
No, I haven't gotten around to that, but I really want to. I've only ever seen the theatrical. I want to watch the alternate endings. I've heard some crazy stuff, and I'm like, are you serious?
They're on YouTube for anybody that's out there listening. Go on YouTube, do it. Blair Witch Project alternate endings. They have 4 alternate endings, and they'll play them all.
That's right, fantastic. They do too. It does too. And the most interesting thing about Blair Witch Project is the fact that they actually stuck these people with certain rations and everything in that forest to film the movie. And they're just like, right, here's a script. Here's what you're going to do. Here's your rations. Here's your tent. Fuck off. Go to the next point for the, the night. And then every single night, one of them might just be missing. And they don't know why, because that wasn't actually in the script. So a lot of the time they were improvising certain sequences and just moving on. They actually thought they were in real danger, which is why that movie is so bloody effective. Mm-hmm. Oh, man. And that's why that ending is just gives me chills just thinking about it. Ugh.
What a great they definitely went with the best ending. I will say that. Now, Patrick, don't go anywhere. I got a couple more questions for you. Everybody else, I said it at the beginning, but I'm going to say it again. Make sure you're clicking the links down here in the description. Make sure you're giving him a follow on social media, subscribing on YouTube, checking him out on Twitch. I don't know if you follow or subscribe on there. I don't do the Twitch thing.
You follow until you get your affiliate at 50 followers, and then you can subscribe for tokens or money and everything to help support the Twitch channels and everything.
Do that. I'm the old man that's like, what is this Twitcher stuff? So thank you guys so much for watching. As always, I'm Ken Sledge. Keep talking horror, stay what you are, and we'll see you guys soon.